like a lot of young kids in Texas, I tried all the mainstream sports, and I said to Mom, I said, I can't, this isn't fun. I'm not good at this. And she said, that's okay. You can quit those sports, but you have to find a sport. You have to do a sport. And she knew she had a high-energy kid that had to have some outlet, otherwise no telling what would have happened. And I said, well, I got some buddies that are on the swim team. By the time I was 14, I was one of the top swimmers in the state. Swimming was my original sport, still a sport I love to this day. There was a professional triathlon in Dallas, and I was 15 years old, and he said, why don't you just turn pro and race with the pros? I continued to race professionally as a 15 and 16-year-old, traveling all over the world. Once I started to have some success, there was, look, I think all of us have played sports, and we know some of us are better or worse, but just tasting success really drove me. I had one of the worst diagnoses that Dr. Einhorn had ever seen. I had probably a dozen golf ball-sized tumors in the lungs. I had 2 lesions on the brain. Einhorn's regimen of platinum-based therapy was very successful. So I saw, as an athlete, I could look at a chest X-ray and I could see. I could look at tumor markers on a sheet and read them, that they were coming down. And so I felt like, as scared as I was, I also had an athlete's mentality and saw that I was putting points on the board. We built an organization that I started right when I was diagnosed. Our goal was to we were going to put on a bike ride in Austin. What if we raised $5,000? Golly gee, could we give that back? Could we somehow do something good with that money? Well, just a few short years later, we win the tour. Then the donations start rolling in, and then in 2004, the yellow wristband is created. We sold, I think to date, 85 million yellow wristbands for $1 a piece. And then in 2012, I get the call that I'm out. And so, but at that point, we had just crossed through $500 million, so $500 million raised. We had served 3 million people. But to get that call was that was one of the hardest ones. And I've watched the organization really become a shell of itself, which is heartbreaking. And I've watched my own life in the last 10 years, where I've been able to reimagine and recreate and reemerge. The guy sitting here right now has one of the biggest podcasts in the world and has now this following again. Well, if we're doing an analysis, it would have been better to write it out and stick it out and reemerge together, because you can't get rid of him, and him being me, you can't. Unless you change your color, you change your cause, and you change your name. You can't. And then at the same time, him being me doesn't have the platform, right? So I've built a platform. But if you write it out, that platform of Livestrong, and you take the bumps and the bruises, but you stick it out, we would have been in a much better place. Racing the tour was a job. I was paid to do that job. I was, whether it's the title sponsor or all the sponsors, I viewed it as a job. Right. Now, I love to ride bikes then, and I love to ride bikes now, but that was my job. My job was to train and win. But the reality is, we were all brought up, and I say all, meaning my generation, we were brought up in a really unfortunate time. And again, speaking also just as a father, I wouldn't want one of my kids to say, I'm going to go play a sport where the guy at the top said, doesn't matter, dude, do whatever you want to do. I'd be like, I think we should maybe find another sport.
Thank you, Lance.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.